Siegel Radio, your home and mortgage connection.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Hello again. Welcome to Ron Siegel Radio. This is the show with no real boundaries as we discuss current events, financial markets, politics, sports, even poking fun at the rest of the media. This is the show that connects the dots of confusion delivered by conflicting media reports. We connect the dots so you know the actions you can take, how your family or business can benefit in current events. Most of all, thank you for joining me. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day. We have a very focused show. We only chat about items that affect the roof over your head, your bank account, and anything I feel would benefit you. And then remind you, if you ever have any home or finance-related questions, I am the consumer advocate looking out for you. And you can reach out to me directly, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Just remember, that's the number you call anytime for assistance. When you call that number, it comes directly to me first. There are operators standing by.
Quiet, numbskulls, I'm broadcasting.
Well, I do have a great team when it comes to developing a financing plan, a plan to save you money. I personally work with you. Even if you don't have any needs today, save this number in your phone for future reference. 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. And yes, of course, we are celebrating today. We are celebrating National Corn Fritters Day. You know, I saw this early this morning when I was starting to look at getting ready for the broadcast. And I was saying, why would we be celebrating corn fritters when we have the opportunity to be celebrating apple fritters? Yeah, okay. So Corn Fritter Day it is today. Okay, that's what else? I guess that one didn't went over like a ton of bricks. What else do we celebrate? National AI Day. Are you getting into AI at all? I can tell you, if you're not into AI, you're missing out. There's a lot going on in the AI space. A lot of people making a lot of money. If you're an early adopter, might be good for you. I might even get somebody to come on and talk about AI in the not too distant future. Now, what else? Personal Chef Day. My wife says that's me. Josh, you're probably the personal chef too, aren't you? Exactly. National Hot Dog Day. Okay, I'm not a big hot dog guy, but I'm going to ask the question anyway. What's your favorite brand of hot dogs? Favorite brand of hot dogs. Question of the day. I'm going to say, in my case, Hebrew National. No, I'm not into Nathan's. That would be on July 4th. And that would only be if you're in a hot dog eating contest. I've had a Nathan's hot dog. I didn't like it nearly as well as I liked the Hebrew Nationals. I don't know. Josh, you a hot dog guy? You go to a ball game, have a hot dog. Angel Stadium used to have good food. They changed their vendor, but then again, they used to have a baseball team there too, and a different story. Oh, well, I better move on before I get myself in too much trouble here. What's going on in the markets today? Did I get all our celebrations? I think I got them all. Okay, let's see what's going on in the markets today. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, 51.7 up. NASDAQ is 36.29 down. S&P 500 is down 38. Oil's down 60 cents a barrel. Watching all of those for you. We've got the 10-year Treasuries up 6 basis points. It's getting tight on that 10-year Treasury. You know, we were hoping it stays below that psychological level of 4.5. We've come back quite a bit on the mortgage-backed securities this morning. I'm sure it's got something to do. I haven't looked, but I'm sure it's got something to do. The president probably came out and said something again. And I will say that, I've never had Trump derangement syndrome, but I will say Trump fatigue. Am I the only one that gets tired of hearing him every single day? And the stability in the markets. That's what the markets really like, is stability and the ability to see what's forecasting and visibility. And with the president changing his mind every single day on something, or having a new action every single day, I don't know. It kind of gets a little bit fatigued. So, maybe am I the only one? And I watch all the markets of what's going on all the time. Some commentary out there. Do you think we're going to get mortgage rates below 6%? Well, if you've got a home loan, you're already in your home, and you're already able to afford your payments, but you've got a bunch of equity. You bought it in 21, 22, 23. You probably have a bunch of equity in your home. Well, maybe now's the time to use some of that equity to clear up some of your debts. And there are some new programs out right now. Some of those programs actually will allow you to use some of your equity for a temporary buy down. It doesn't help you with qualifying, but using some of the equity for a temporary buy down, you might be able to get your interest rate into the 4s. And then you're using some of those funds to pay down some of your other debts. Now, if you were with us yesterday, you heard us talking to Chris Corrales about all the people with credit card debt. Yeah, like 27, 28, 29% credit card debt. Well, what if you could get your home loan into the 4s somewhere? It's going to vary depending upon your qualification, but get it into the 4s on a temporary buy down. And then here's the strategy. And I say this all the time: strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. So you're going to get that loan down into the 4 range and use some of those funds for getting out of debt, maybe some of your equity to get out of debt. Then if we get as I forecast, and many others do as well, if we start seeing some of the interest rates come down, well, then you restructure with lower debt, with better FICO scores, into a lower permanent interest rate. And oh, by the way, the funds that you used for that buy down, you can again recapture some of those if they haven't been used as a principal reduction. So I know it sounds, it sounds complex. And I know it is, but don't worry about it. I understand it. What you need to understand is lower monthly payment, get out of debt, better FICO score, restructure for free down the road. That's all you need to know, which means you get to sleep better because your finances are in a better position. Now, I tell you all the time that I am a certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management. And you know something? You go to our 30-second liability review. Start right there. rsrlinks.com/Sora. rsrlinks.com/Sora. You complete that. We set up a liability review with you, a consultation, and set up a strategy call. Very, very simple. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, mortgage rates are stabilizing. How that helps today's buyers. Are you retirement tax smart or headed for a surprise? Term versus permanent life insurance, what most people miss, all that and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube. Ron Siegel, the number 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the First Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at ronsiegelradio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions, as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The Mortgage Minute today being brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just need to make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, and every day at this time, OBMMI. They provide the most comprehensive, accurate, timely, and interactive analysis of pricing ever conducted in the mortgage industry, calculated from actual locked rates for the consumers across 35% of all mortgage transactions nationwide. They don't tell us points paid, points received, or the APR. They tell us the number you need to put in your mortgage calculator to find out what your principal and interest payment will be. If you don't have a mortgage calculator, you can get one for free. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. rsrlinks.com/mobile app. What did rates do yesterday? Mixed bag again. Conventional 30-year fix, 6.792. That was up. Jumbo 30-year fix, 6.903. That was down. FHA 30-year fix, 6.52. That was up. VA fix, 6.398. That was up. And the USDA loan, that is for our rural areas and generally no down payment, 6.514. That was flat. And the best loan in the market, 8.31, that's the Home Select loan. GetHomeselect.com, GetHomeselect.com. And yes, that's the one that allows you to be out of debt in 8 to 10 years with having a principal paid first loan. A lot of people don't understand that. Want to get more thoughts on our market thoughts? Go to rsrlinks.com/HBOD. rsrlinks.com/HBOD. That's our household board of directors, but we put our market thoughts out there all the time. Let's see what the markets are doing right now. So we've got the S&P 500 is down 4.35. We've got the 10-year Treasury is up 6 basis points, 4.476. And the mortgage-backed security, that one's up 6 basis points, which means interest rates are down just a little, not enough to talk about. 98.99 on that one, down 7 basis points. Again, not enough to worry about, but I do watch it for you. What's driving these numbers? Well, we're going to get the Fed's beige book later this afternoon, or about 2 hours California time, about 11 o'clock Eastern time. It's going to be released to give insights from the Fed's business contacts in their 12 business districts feel, and they want to know, how do they feel about the economy, inflation, and labor? This is soft data, as it's not hard published numbers, but has been showing much more weakness than the published data. Fed's starting to use this more and more because they realize what I've been telling you right along is that the numbers that come from the Bureau of Labor Statistics.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Yeah, I got a bad feeling about it too. You can't rely on it. So the Fed's using more and more of the beige book information. We got producer price index report this morning, and that wholesale inflation figures were cooler than feared, but the report was clouded with revisions to the previous months. In June, headline inflation was 0, which was cooler than the 0.2% expected. May, however, was revised higher by 0.2% from 0.1 to 0.3, averaging out the last 2 months and removing some of the noise from revisions, resulting in a 0.15% per month increase in producer prices, which is good and below the 2% when annualized. Year over year headline inflation rose 2.3%, which was an improvement from the previous 2.7% and lower than the 2.5% anticipated. The core rate, which strips out food and energy prices, was also 0%, which was lower than 0.2% expected. There was again a revision to May, bringing the previous reading from 0.1 to 0.4, which tempered the low reading. Again, averaging out the last 2 months provides a bit of a higher number than the 0% reported for June, but it remains at a low level of 0.2%. Annualizing that brings you to 2.4%, which is still quite good. Year over year, core inflation was up 2.6%, which was a nice improvement from the previous 3.2% and 1/10 lower than estimates. Bottom line, this was a better than feared report and better than estimates, helping bonds find their footing. The producer price index shares some components with even more important PCE later this month and influences about 12% of that report. The shared components were mixed but decent overall and should not cause a bit spike in PCE, at least from shared components. Looking at this week's CPI and PPI report shows that inflation is still pretty modest, and while there are some signs of tariff impact, it's not significant. And even though goods prices are rising modestly, services inflation has been cooling. Additionally, the tariff impact should be a one-time price increase, different than persistent inflation, and the tariff revenue should diminish the amount of bonds coming to the market, which is good because that'll help bring down interest rates because there's not as much supply of bonds. So think about that. Industrial production and capacity utilization for the month of June was reported at 0.3%, stronger than the 0.1 expected. Additionally, the previous report was revised higher by 0.2%. This is an important report as it's done as one of the things the NBER looks at when determining a recession. Capacity utilization, which measures how much capacity is used at factories, rose 0.1% after a 1/10 upward revision to May to 77.6%. While there was a significant increase in utilization, the reading is still light and below the historical average of 80%. When factories have more capacity, they have less pricing power and are more inclined to drop prices to fill that excess capacity. So this report is somewhat deflationary. Are you listening, Jerome Powell?
Such an idiot.
No, he's probably not listening. He's probably sleeping somewhere. And looking at the data that came out instead of trying to forecast what's coming out in the future. We've talked about that before. We need Powell to forecast the future as much as, looking at the past. So when I was at Chapman College, before it was Chapman University, I took a lot of courses in economics. I even served on the economic forecast staff for a year. And, I was a college kid, so I got 3 degrees in 4 years. I was one course short of a 4th degree, an economics degree. I should have done it. But, now that I'm a half a century older, something I didn't do it back then. I should have. Let's just say that's the Mortgage Minute brought to you by our friends at Geneva Financial. When you're ready for that next home loan, Geneva's got the programs and the products. You just make the call, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. So I was saying that about the information about the forecasting, and it was drilled into our head in the 1980s, early 1980s. Over 40 years ago, we study the past to understand the present, to better forecast the future. Now, Jerome looks like he studies the past. I'm not sure if he understands the present, and it doesn't appear that they're looking at forecasting the future. That's the difference between an attorney and an economist. And I'm looking at the numbers, and I look at a lot of other smart people, and they're all saying, something, the economy is not as strong as some of the numbers say it is. Just an observation. So when we watch that, we start saying, okay, if the economy is not as strong, why do we have a restrictive monetary policy? And what do you mean by restrictive? You look at the monetary policy, and there's a formulas, and I'm not going to get too deep into the weeds, but you look and you say, okay, what is the current inflation rate? And you add a little bit to that, a figure to that, and you figure, okay, that's where the Fed funds rate should be. And if you don't have that figure, if you're above that, it's restrictive. If it's below that, you're accommodative. So during the Biden administration, 2021, I think it was, when we had 9% inflation, well, if you didn't have a Fed funds rate that was above that 9%, then it's called, it's not restrictive at all. It's accommodative. And they use that, and they start saying, okay, well, we're going to buy bonds. The Federal Reserve is going to buy bonds, which all helps to increase the cash flows and trying to get the economy going, or slowing, whichever they want to do. Well, right now, being restrictive is basically saying we want to slow down the economy. Well, we've got the economy's already slowing. Every indicator we have says the economy is slowing. We're not seeing inflation caused by the tariffs. We can also look into the future and say, based on the producer price, that's the wholesale level. If their numbers aren't going up, we're not seeing that. So why is it that we're not getting any reductions in interest rates from the Fed? Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but, Jerome does what Jerome's going to do. Unbelievable, but that's what it is. You are listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate current events and the financial markets. When we come back, mortgage rates are stabilizing. How that helps today's buyers. Are you retirement tax benefit? Are you retirement tax smart or headed for a surprise? Term versus permanent life insurance, what most people miss, and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com. Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams, or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564, complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Confused about the home buying process? Or curious how much you really know about buying a home? Take the first Home IQ quiz to test your understanding of buying a home. Created by the nonprofit First Home IQ, this 5-minute quiz will give you a score, what you missed, and why. Take the quiz in 5 minutes at rsrlinks.com/FHIQ and find out what you need to know about buying your first home. That's rsrlinks.com/FHIQ.
Do you believe Southern California real estate is a great investment? Are you a little short to be a cash investor? Are you missing the Social Security card or tax returns? The Siegel Lending Team has the loans for you. Common Sense Lending is back. Yes, there's a cost to higher risk, but the reward can be great. Call today for details. 800-306-1990. That's 800-306-1990. Rate subject to change without notice. Licensed by the California Department of Corporations, NMLS 217037 and DRE number 1869452.
Are you paying rent because you cannot afford to live in your dream home? Are you paying rent because you don't believe you have the down payment funds to purchase your own home? At Siegel Lending Team at ronismylender.com has up to $25,000 to help qualified people purchase their own home at amazing interest rates. Contact the Siegel Lending Team today at ronismylender.com. Again, ronismylender.com. Licensed under NMLS 217037. ronismylender.com.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less, all without having to spend more each month than you spend right now? Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis, rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio or anytime at 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990. The real-time real estate segment today being brought to you by rsrmoney.com. rsrmoney.com. Mortgage rates are stabilizing. How that helps today's buyers. Over the past few years, affordability has been the biggest challenge for home buyers. Between rapidly rising home prices and higher mortgage rates, many have felt stuck between a rock and a hard place. But something pretty encouraging is happening. While affordability is still tight, mortgage rates have shown signs of stabilizing in recent months, and that may finally make it a bit easier to plan your move. Mortgage rates have stabilized for now over the past year. Mortgage rates have had their share of ups and downs, making it tough for buyers to know what to expect. But recently, rates have started to level out and have settled into a more narrow range. If you're watching us on RonSiegelRadio.tv, any of our socials, or the ABC News and Talk AM 1490 FM 98.1 video feed, you are seeing a chart of mortgage rates, and they've shown less volatility. That's the 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And you can see by the dotted lines the channel that that's been moving in, and hasn't been a whole heck of a lot different since September of last year. As the graph shows, Rates have stayed within a 0.5 percentage point since late last year. Yes, there's been movement within that range, but wild swings and sudden ups and downs just haven't been the story lately. And that's a bigger deal than you may realize. As Housing Wire explains, quote, analysts, economists, and mortgage professionals are coining this quarter's activity as one of the most calm periods for mortgage rates in recent history, unquote. How this helps today's buyers, let's be real. Unpredictability makes it tough to plan ahead. When rates are bouncing around and making big jumps week to week, it's easy to be intimidated. But with rates staying in a pretty steady range over the past several months, you have a clearer picture of what your potential monthly payment could look like. That makes moving feel less uncertain and more doable. So stop waiting and start planning. Even though rates may not be where you want them to be right now, they have been much less volatile for quite some time. Will this stability last? According to the experts, it looks like stability might hang around for a bit. Rates may come down ever so slightly in the months ahead, but it'll likely be a slow and mild change, as Danielle Hale, chief economist at Realtor.com says, quote, I expected a generally downward trend for rates this year, but at a slow enough pace that it might not be noticeable in any given month, unquote. So if you've been holding out for the perfect mortgage rate, the best advice is to avoid trying to time the market. It may not look terribly different than the opportunity you already have in front of you. As Jeff Ostrowski, housing market analyst at Bankrate, explains, quote, trying to time mortgage rates is really difficult. There's no guarantee that rates are going to be any more favorable in 3 months or 6 months, unquote. And if we look at the latest expert forecasts that go out a bit further, even those tell much of a same story, though. 2 out of 3 projections say rates will likely be in the mid 6% range by the end of 2026. And you can see that on the graph we have. This puts today's buyers in a much better spot, as Sam Cotter, chief economist at Freddie Mac, explains. Quote, mortgage rates have moved within a narrow range for the past few months. Rate stability, improving inventory, and slower house price growth are encouraging combination, unquote. Just remember, mortgage rates are still going to react to changing economic conditions, inflation, and more. And that means they could shift again. But right now, you've got more predictability, and that means more opportunity. And I will tell you this again, from the affordability standpoint, you've got to look at our buy down strategy. Strategy beats rate always. Strategy beats rate always. So what is the buy down strategy? rsrlinks.com/buy down. rsrlinks.com/buy down. Bottom line, while affordability is still a challenge, the market may be offering a bit more stability, and that makes planning your next move a lot easier. Let's connect if you want to run the numbers and see what a monthly payment would look like in today's market. That way you can stop waiting and start planning. That is the Real-Time Real Estate segment, brought to you by rsrmoney.com, rsrmoney.com. Speaking of the aforementioned rate buy down program, let's take a look at what the rate buy down program looks like.
So let's chat about buy downs. That's our workshop for today, buy downs. What is an interest rate buy down? Well, you've heard us talking for a long time now about buying down interest. Before interest rates even started going crazy like they've been going crazy right now, you've heard us talking about buy downs. And there's 2 different ways of doing these buy downs that are being talked about right now. There's something called a 3-2-1 buy down. There's something called a 2-1 buy down or a 1 buy down. What does that mean? Well, somebody is buying down the interest rates on a 3-2-1 buy down. The first year, they're buying it down by 3%. On the second year, they're buying the interest rate down by 2%. The third year, they're buying it down by 1%, and then thereafter, it goes to the fully amortizing rate, the note rate. What's the note rate?
So let's just say hypothetically, and I don't know what your note rate's going to be because I don't know where your numbers are, but I have a scenario that I did for a local agent just recently, and we were using a 6.875 interest rate. Again, I don't know what you qualify for. I'm just using that as a foundation for our discussion this morning. So if you had a 3-2-1 buy down, the first year we would take that 6.875 and reduce it by 3, so it'd be 3.875. The second year it would be reduced by 2, so it'd be 4.875. And the third year it would be reduced by 1, 5.875. And then for the next 27 years, you're going to be paying 6.875 or until you refinance that loan. You can refinance at any time. But wait a second. So how does that work? How do you get that buy down? What determines that, or where's that money go? Who makes that payment? How do you get there? Well, what happens is a escrow account is set up with those funds, the difference in those payments. Now you can't say, okay, for the first year, I just get a 3% of the loan amount. No, because the principal changes every single month when you make your payments. So when I went through and I did this scenario, I looked at it and I said, okay, if we're reducing it by that percentage rate, applying that to the principal balance every month during that 36-month period on a 3-year note, you're going to pay $129,927,000 in interest over 3 years. The buy down for 3% on that one, on a 3-2-1, is $89,381. So the difference there is $40,546. You've got the total interest, you've got the interest that you've got to set aside. So what are we doing with all that money? That you got 3 years there. What are you saving? How's that? You got to add all those numbers up, and you come up with that $37,904. So if you go through and you do the 3% for the first year, the 2% for the next, and so on, you've got $37,904 is what's got to go into the escrow account. Does that make sense? Right there, $37,904 goes into the escrow account. Okay, now each month you're going to make your share of the payment, and the escrow account is going to make the difference. So in the first month, that escrow account has to come up with almost $1,600 worth of money. Got it. Does that make sense? I hope that's clear. Now, what we've been talking about is, the other part of that is qualification. How does that help or hinder with the qualification of the loan? Well, you don't get to use that for qualification. You have to qualify for your loan at the fully amortized payment. The fully amortized payment. So you're looking at 6.875. The payment on that is $4,204.34 plus your taxes and insurance. And if you have any HOA, that goes into the payment. And then you have to multiply it by a little over 2 in order to figure out what your income needs to be. But I digress. That gets to your debt to income ratio. I don't want to get into that right now, but because that's not part of what we're educating on. We're talking about the 3-2-1 buy down. So to do this buy down, again, you have to come up with almost $38,000, $37,904.38. That's the 3-2-1 buy down. Now, what we've been talking about on Ron Siegel Radio, and you can see an example of this one, rsrpaymentassist.com, rsrpaymentassist.com. What we say is, okay, well, you're spending $38,000 to buy down that interest rate for 3 years. What happens if we take that same money, or maybe just a little bit more, and buy down the interest rate for the entire life of the loan? Now, we're not going to buy it down by 3%. We're going to say, let's buy it down by half of that, 1.5%. Let's compare. So, and when you buy it down for the entire life of the loan, Then you get to use that for qualification purposes. Yeah, you get to use that for qualification purposes. That's what you want to do. You're going to save $716.99. $716.99. Nice. I like that idea. So let's look in the big picture. So you're going to spend $37,000 one way, and to buy it down by about a point and a half, 1.375 in the example that I'm looking at right here, you're going to actually spend $48,000. You're going to spend $10,000 more. But over 3 years, you're going to save $40,546. How much are you saving the other way? Well, you had to pay for it. You didn't save anything. After 4 years, you're saving $54,000. $54,000 after 4 years. So you're laying out the same amount of money. And one way you're going to save over the life. The other way, you laid out the money and you got your money back. Oh, yeah. And you didn't get any interest on your money. So I'm just sharing with you, and you didn't get a benefit in the amount that you're qualifying for. Think that has a big difference right there? Just throwing that out there for you. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, discussing your real estate, current events, and the financial markets. When we come back, are you retirement tax smart or headed for a surprise? Term versus permanent life insurance, what most people miss, and more. Reach me anytime. Off-air number 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or RonSiegelRadio.com, Facebook.com/Ron Siegel Radio. And if you miss any part of our broadcast, Ron Siegel 1 on YouTube, Ron Siegel, the numeral 1 on YouTube. Stay tuned. We'll be back in just a few.
Ron Siegel Radio. Your home and mortgage connection.
Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564. Are you earning a safe, secure 10+% return on your investments? Is your credit score over 800? Are you living in the home of your dreams or simply where you think you can afford? If the answer to any of these questions is no, what are you doing about it? Text ATP to 79564. Complete a 3-minute complimentary survey, and the area trusted professionals of Ron Siegel Radio will reach out to you to develop a success strategy for you. Again, all you need to do is text ATP to 79564.
Are you like many of your neighbors trying to figure out how to pay off your debts so you can retire someday? Build bigger savings. Invest in opportunities. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Debt will destroy 50% of Americans from being able to retire earlier and with more. What if you could have a guaranteed program that could show you how to eliminate all of your debt in 10 years or less? All without having to spend more each month than you spend right now. Yes, that's correct. All without spending more from your checkbook each month than you are today. Get your free analysis today to see if you qualify. Visit rsrnodebt.com. Log on today for your free analysis. rsrnodebt.com. No purchase necessary. The free analysis takes only 2 minutes. rsrnodebt.com. Ron Siegel Radio is your home and mortgage connection. Go to rsrnodebt.com. rsrnodebt.com.
Are you a renter and tired of making monthly payments? Paying off someone else's mortgage? Hey, it's Ron Siegel here to help you stop renting and start owning your dream home with amazing low interest rates. And you could potentially qualify for a $500,000 home for less than $5,000 out of pocket. So stop renting. Start owning with Ron Siegel. Learn more at RonSiegelRadio.com and start owning today. Licensed under NMLS 217037, Equal Housing Lender.
You're listening to Ron Siegel's Home and Finance Show with local and national expert Ron Siegel. Now, here's Ron.
Welcome back to Ron Siegel Radio. Within every market, there are solutions as well as tremendous opportunities. You just need some trusted guidance. That is my message, and I will be delivering it every day on Ron Siegel Radio. Or anytime at 800-306-1990. 800-306-1990. Are you retirement smart? Excuse me. Are you retirement tax smart? Or headed for a surprise? The Borrow Smart segment today being brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Are you retirement tax smart or headed for a surprise? Let me hit you with something that might stop you in your tracks. We have one tax code and two tax systems, one system for the informed and one system for the uninformed. That line isn't just clever, it's your retirement reality. If you're not informed, the IRS would gladly help themselves to more of your retirement income than you ever planned. And most folks don't even know it's happening until it's too late. Let's talk about why. Most retirees are sitting on pre-tax accounts like traditional IRAs and 401ks. These are the accounts we were all told to fund religiously while working. And to be fair, they do help reduce taxable income now and allow for tax-deferred growth. But once you reach age 73, the rules change. That's when you're required to begin taking required minimum distributions, whether you need the income or not. And those RMDs, they're taxed as ordinary income, not capital gains, not tax-free, just regular old-fashioned income tax. And if you've done well saving, congratulations. You may have just bumped yourself into a higher tax bracket in retirement than what you were while working. That's what I mean by two tax systems. The informed blindly follow conventional wisdom and walk into a tax buzzsaw at 73. The informed, they take a different path. Now, one of those alternate paths may involve Roth IRAs. These are funded with after-tax dollars, but in return, you get tax-free growth and tax-free qualified withdrawals later on. No RMDs, no surprise penalties, no tax landmines. But even Roths come with a warning label: income phase-outs. In 2024, if you're married, filing jointly and earn between $230,000 and $240,000, your ability to contribute to a Roth begins to vanish. For single filers, it's $146,000 to $161,000. And let's not forget, you need to meet the 5-year rule and be at least 59.5 to avoid penalties on earnings. So let me ask you, are you planning your retirement tax strategy intentionally or just hoping for the best? Because taxes aren't just a line on your return. They're a force that could shape the next 20 to 30 years of your financial life. One more layer to this onion is Social Security. The timing of when you and your spouse claim benefits can significantly affect your tax bill. Up to 85% of your Social Security income could be taxed, depending on what other income you've stacked on top. That's right, income planning isn't just about maximizing what you earn, it's about minimizing what gets taken. So what do you do? First, you don't go it alone. This is where I come in. I'm not giving tax advice, but as a certified liability advisor, helping families build wealth through strategic debt management, I help families like yours take a hard look at their income sources, debts, and future financial picture. And I show you how informed people make smarter moves, because remember, we only have one tax code, but how you play the game depends on what you know. If you're 55 or older and serious about preserving more of your retirement income, I've got something for you. A 30-second tax and liability checkup. It's quick, it's private, and it could reveal thousands of dollars in savings you never knew were hiding in your plan. Just head over to rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. That's the starting line for the informed. Don't wait for tax surprises in retirement. Get informed, take action, and let's help you keep more of what you've worked for. I'm Ron Siegel, helping families build wealth through strategic debt and tax smart planning. You've tuned into Ron Siegel Radio, home of the Certified Liability Advisor. That is the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. I think we've got time for one more Borrow Smart segment. Yeah, we do. Borrow Smart, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. Term versus permanent life insurance, what most people miss. You're listening to Ron Siegel Radio, where we don't just talk about your house, we talk about your home, your family, your finances, and your future. I'm Ron Siegel, and I am a certified liability advisor helping families build wealth through better debt management. Today, we're clearing the fog around a topic that's often misunderstood but absolutely critical to getting right. Life insurance. Before you change the dial, thinking this does not apply to you, consider this. 38% of American households would face financial trouble within 6 months if the primary earner passed away. That's not a stat. That's a warning. Let me say something loud and clear. We have one tax code, two tax systems, one for the informed, one for the uninformed. The same logic applies to life insurance. If you don't understand the difference between term and permanent coverage, you could be overpaying, underprotected, or both. The shocking reality, according to the American Council of Life Insurers, the average life insurance coverage in the U.S. is $197,000. Sounds like a decent number, right? Well, if you're earning the median U.S. income of $59,540, that policy barely covers 3.5 years of income. The industry recommendation, you need at least 7 years of replacement income. This isn't about leaving a windfall. It's about protecting your family's lifestyle, college tuition, mortgage payments, the small business you're building, the debts you're managing. It all depends on having the right coverage in place. Term Life 101. Term life insurance is like renting your coverage. You get a set death benefit for a defined period, 10, 20, maybe even 30 years. It's simple, clean, and affordable, especially if you're young and healthy. Why do people love term? Price. A 30-year-old in good health can lock in a large benefit for pennies on the dollar compared to permanent insurance. That frees up money to pay down debt, invest, or buy your first home. Sound familiar? But there's a catch. Once that term ends, so does your protection. If you're still alive, and most of us hope to be, you either renew at a dramatically higher cost or go uninsured. Permanent Life 101. Now, permanent insurance is more like owning. It stays in force as long as you keep paying the premiums. And here's the kicker, it builds cash value. The cash reserve can serve as a safety net. It can help fund long-term care, emergencies, or even supplemental retirement, and grows tax deferred. If structured properly, it can even become a source of tax-free income later in life. But yes, it costs more. You're paying for long-term coverage plus the cash accumulation feature. And while that might not be ideal for everyone, the value of guarantees and lifetime coverage cannot be overstated. So which should you choose? Here's the magic word: both. Many people benefit from a hybrid strategy. Permanent life for foundational, lifelong needs like estate planning or final expenses, and term insurance to cover temporary needs like your mortgage or a child's education. One size does not fit all, and that's exactly why we offer the liability checkup at rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora. It's a 30-second soft credit pull with zero impact on your credit score, and it gives us the info we need to structure a plan tailored to your needs, not some generic chart. Industry trend check, you might be surprised to learn that in 2022, more people bought permanent life insurance policies than term. Yet term still makes up 71% of the total coverage issued. Why? Because term gives you a lot of face value, but the face value means nothing if the coverage expires and you need it still alive, and your need is still alive. So the question isn't term or perm, it's what combination will protect what you love now and later. Before we close, life insurance decisions should never be one and done. Your needs change, your liabilities change, your opportunities change. That's why we offer strategic reviews with real life advisors, not bots or pitchmen. We coordinate with financial advisors, CPAs, and estate attorneys to make sure your coverage is aligned with your plan, not working against it. And if you don't have a plan, no problem. That's where we come in. We have advisors we can put you in touch with. Bottom line, let's be honest. Life insurance is not sexy, but neither is a GoFundMe for your funeral. The right policy doesn't just protect your loved ones. It gives you peace of mind knowing that if something happens tomorrow, your legacy is funded today. Visit rsrlinks.com/Sora, rsrlinks.com/Sora to start your liability check now, or give us a call and walk you through every option in plain English. That's it for today. I'm Ron Siegel, reminding you there's never a wrong time to make the right financial decision. That is the Borrow Smart segment, brought to you by GetHomeSelect.com, GetHomeSelect.com. And as always, we ask, set that first radio preset button to come back here and join Ron Siegel Radio, where we only speak about items affecting your house and your bank account. Thanks to all of our sponsors. A big thanks to Josh and Sean for engineering us today. And of course, a special thanks to you for spending a little bit of your day with us. That's all for Ron Siegel Radio. Again, if you have any questions or to meet any of our guests, call me anytime, 800-306-1990, 800-306-1990, or ronsiegelradio.com. And remember, make a lot of money so you can help a lot of people and have a lot of fun. Have a great day. We'll talk to you next time on Ron Siegel Radio.